Hello viewer, thank you for joining us. This is CBA News in Brief and my name is Yunis Dekow. United Nations UN should lift arms embargo on Somalia in order to fight against Al-Shabaab militant group, Somali president had said. Addressing the head of states and governments during the 33rd Ordinary Summit of the Africa Union in Addis Ababa, President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo said lifting arms embargo will help Somalia get stability. Farmajo said Somalia is committed to full responsibility of its security forces, adding the country needs to better equip its military. Last November, the UN passed a resolution extending a more than a decade-long arms embargo on Somalia by 1 year, saying the move was aimed at preventing Al-Shabaab from acquiring arms, chemical and bomb-making components. A panel of experts from the UN said recent investigations had shown that Al-Shabaab was manufacturing explosives locally, unlike in the past where they relied on expertise and materials from outside Somalia. The move was opposed by Somalia's government, saying the arms sanctions were restricting Somalia's ability to acquire weapons necessary to defeat terrorism. The embargo was first imposed in 1992 through Resolution 733 and updated through various resolutions. It barred Somalia from purchasing or importing certain military weapons and equipment collectively known as material. They include surface-air missiles and certain guns. Until 2013, Somalia had also been barred from receiving military training or equipment from outside entities unless the Committee on Sanctions on Somalia expressly permitted. Currently, the United Nations allows exceptions if supply or advice is to support the Somalia's National Army's capabilities. Two men who have been convicted of murdering and raping a 12-year-old girl who lived in Gaalkacayo have been executed today as per a court ruling. Puntland authorities in northeastern Somalia have executed the two men convicted of raping and killing the 12-year-old girl last year. The officials in Puntland said the authorities this morning executed two of the three men convicted for the gang rape and murder of Aisha Ilyas Adan. The men executed are Abd Fattah Abdurrahman Fattah and Abdushakur Muhammad Dige, while the execution of the third one was delayed. According to the authorities, the third man, who is identified as Abdisalan Abdurrahman Warsame, will be kept in custody for 10 days following requests to delay the execution by the father of Aisha. Aisha Ilyas Adan was abducted, gang raped and killed near her home in Gaalkacayo in the semi-autonomous region of Puntland in February 2019. The case caused uproar and sparked demonstrations across the country. 10 suspects were initially arrested, but the Regional High Court found 3 of them guilty last May. Prosecutors said they relied on DNA evidence for the first time to convict them. The 3, including 2 brothers, were sentenced to death, but they sought appeal. Last August, an appeal court in Puntland State upheld the death sentence for the 3 men. Thousands of Kenyans gathered to mourn the country's longest-serving leader, the hardline Daniel Arap Moi, as a week of mourning climaxes with a state funeral. Moi, who ruled the country for 24 years, died on February 4th, aged 95. Moi, whose 24-year rule saw Kenya become a one-party state where critical voices were ruthlessly crushed, died on February 4th, aged 95. Mourners began gathering at the stadium before dawn to pay their respect to Moi, who toured over Kenya between 1978 and 2002, lay in state for 3 days in Parliament with tens of thousands of people filing past. On Tuesday morning, he was taken on a gun carriage draped in Kenya's flag through streets of Nairobi to the crowded Nyayo National Stadium flanked by soldiers. President Uhuru Kenyatta, who opened the memorial with the national anthem, has called Moi a father of our nation and champion of Pan-Africanism. Shortly after the cortege entered the stadium, flanked by long lines of red-coated soldiers and a brass band playing marching tunes and Christian hymns, their shining boots glinting into the bright sun. Several foreign leaders from regional nations attended the ceremony, including Djibouti, Ismail Omar Guelleh, Ethiopia's Sahle-Work Zewde, Rwanda's Paul Kagame, and South Sudan's Salva Kiir. The body of the late president will be buried on Wednesday in his home area of Kabarak, 220 kilometers northwest of the capital, Nairobi. The usually congested and noisy streets of Nairobi were quiet, with Tuesday declared a national holiday. While those at the stadium had come to pay their respect to a ruler they revered, others in Kenya remembered a man that they had long feared. Mois' 24-year rule saw critical voices crushed, corruption became endemic, and tribal divisions stalked and turned bloody. Mois was, however, praised for keeping Kenya a relative haven of peace during a chaotic period in East Africa. Ghanaian coach Bashir Haiford has reportedly quit his job as head coach of the Somali national football team. His resignation has come just 11 months after taking charge of the national team of the East African country. According to various media reports, the former Asante Katoko coach decided to leave the job due to insecurity in the East African country. The former Asante Okoto coach guided Somalia to beat Zimbabwe 1-0 in the first leg of the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. The win was historic since it became their first victory in the FIFA World Cup qualifiers. They, however, lost the reverse fixture 3-1 against Zimbabwe to dash their quest to reach the next stage of qualifiers. Haiford is currently in Ghana and has vowed not to return to the East African country. The Ghanaian coach cited insecurity and attacks by Al-Shabaab as the main reason for his resignation. Haiford, who was in charge of the host Ghana at the Women's Africa Cup of Nations last year, signed a 2-year contract replacing Somalia's Mohamed Abdullah Farayare in March 2019. Somalia is the lowest ranked team in Africa and plays its matches in Djibouti, as Somalia does not host any international matches due to security reasons. A meeting seeking coordination among different branches of the Organization of Immigration of Somalia's federal government today commenced in the capital Mogadishu. At the conference, stakeholders discussed what has been accomplished in the last 3 months and their plans for the next 90 days. Somalia's police chief Abdi Hassan Hijar opened the meeting, where different institutions of the Somali government affirmed their commitment to collaborate in order to prevent problems caused by people who are opposed to the development of Somalia. The head of the Somali Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, Mohammed Adan, said they have done most of the work they have set up over the past 3 months and expressed optimism that they will do the large-scale action in the next 90 days. Bernard, the regional deputy governor, on his side, said that there have been many challenges in creating birth certificates. The body is regulated by the Somali Immigration Department of the federal government of Somalia. Due to long absence of governmental regulation, it's uncertain how many foreigners travel to Somalia per year. However, visas and residence permits are now mandatory for all foreign nationals. As of April 2013, the re-established Somali Immigration Department requires all undocumented foreigners to register at its offices in the capital, Mogadishu. As part of IOM Somalia's capacity building for immigration management project, a migration information and data analysis system was installed in 2014. The new immigration and border management infrastructure strengthens security by screening travelers at 11 main points of entry in the country. It in the process registers their biometric data and passport details and generates statistics for policymakers. In April 2015, the federal cabinet also passed a new policy prioritizing the local workforce and restricting the reliance on foreign labor. Theodorine Obiang, son of Equatorial Guinea's president and the country's vice president, has been handed a fine of 30 million euros by a court in Paris for embezzling public funds. The court also gave Obiang a suspended jail term and ordered the confiscation of his assets on Monday. He had been found guilty by a French court in 2017 of having plundered his country's state coffers to fund his jet-set lifestyle in Europe. At the time, he was handed a 3-year jail term as well as 30 million euro fine, both suspended. Obiang challenged that penalty only to have the Paris appeal courts return a heavier sentence on Monday by removing the suspended provisions from the fine. Obiang was not in court for the ruling trial. The case had been brought to the French courts by 2 anti-corruption NGOs. Prosecutors estimate that he laundered 150 million euros in misappropriated funds in France. Obiang owns a 6-story, 107 million euro mansion in an upscale part of Paris, complete with a hammam and a disco and gold-plated taps. That is all we have for you in this particular news summary. Thank you for being with us.